Good evening, everyone. This is Tejinder Singh. I'm one of the board members for Friends of Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge. With me, I have Tara Bostatter, who is co-hosting with me. She's also another board member. Then Amy Arendt, our executive director for Friends Group, is on. And we have an excellent session planned for you. Jason Lewis, the manager for the Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge. He will talk about, the conservation efforts that are ongoing at the refuge. But before we get started, just one quick housekeeping item, if everybody can be on mute. And Jason has some bandwidth issues with internet, so he may go off the camera as he's presenting the slides. And we'll take, and Jason, you're okay taking the questions afterwards, right? We'll just go through the slides and have the questions towards the end of the session.
Yes, I think that would be most efficient.
All right.
Yeah.
No, and then Tara, she will post a couple of links, Friends of Ottawa. We may not have another webinar for the next 2 months. In July, we have one for shorebird identification. We're going to take a little break during this biggest week in birding season. Tara will post a couple of links. There's a really awesome cruise to Westchester Island that is upcoming on May 4th. We have just a few tickets left. If anybody is interested, it's the only fundraiser we do. So we appreciate everybody's support if they are able to join us on that cruise. So we'll post that link also. But without further ado, I'll welcome Jason Lewis, the manager for Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge. Jason, sir, we can see your screen. Look forward to this session.
Well, thank you very much, TJ and Tara. Thank you so much for being such wonderful hosts. When I was asked to do this presentation, I actually was very excited about it. I know it was originally scheduled for April 4th, but unfortunately I got the flu, and that really wasn't going to work out very well for me. So I appreciate all of you coming back and being still interested in hearing my story. I will tell you, I want to be very transparent here that that this presentation is really more about my journey over the last decade here, and so it talks a lot about some of the projects that I've been involved in as a manager here that I'm really most excited about, and I really go into depth about the relationships and the people that helped that I work with that really are just amazing people, and that make me proud every day to be the manager at Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge. And because it is the people that I work with and the partners that really make the work very rewarding. We're doing great things together, and one of those magnificent partners is the Friends of Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge, and we could not do what we do without their wonderful support. So I want to make that point. So we'll get this started. If things freeze up, I will say, maybe I need to punt, and we'll have to try this again at another time. But let's keep our fingers crossed. Everyone can still hear me? Is that right,
Yes.
TJ?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, fantastic. So here we go. Well, let me hopefully. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Did it advance?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I did.
Okay, wonderful. So I wanted to start out with my family. Family, they provide the support network that we need through all of our life's challenges, both personally and professionally. And I wanted to show my daughters when in my office chair the first year that I got here in 2011. And then on the left there is when they were on their first cruise, which was just in April, the end of March. And now they're teenagers. So I've been here a while, and I've had a lot of personal and professional growth here, and my family has been part of that journey and been supportive the whole way. So family is important, and it's always good to have a good balance in your life. So I just wanted to give a good shout out to them. And so also the people that I work with. Hopefully this slide came through. Upper left is the staff here, the current staff. Actually, even the lower right that's the solar eclipse. When we did the solar eclipse on April 8th, wonderful experience. I think we had somewhere between 700, maybe 1,000 people all
Oh,
total just in and around the refuge here. And we end up, there's some other data that the Friends was able to get that indicated that there was over 11,000 devices on the refuge in different places. So what a wonderful story. What a wonderful way to be a community asset and to have that many people coming to the refuge. But first of all, looking on the upper left, that's the Oak Harbor Library. This wonderful mural that Tara's mom was instrumental in getting Kathy Huffman getting on the wall down there. And I think it's really a wonderful testament to how we have tried and strived to connect to the community and to be a community asset. And so here we are in the basement, all these wonderful smiling faces, all these wonderful people that make the magic happen here at Ottawa. And of course, we have some friends that are missing from there. The friends, Amy's always behind the camera. She's not out in front of it, but we want to recognize her. I think she was the one taking that picture probably. Again, lower right is everyone who made the solar eclipse a wonderful experience. And I have to say that it's probably one of the best special events I've been involved with in a very long time. I felt like we really all came together as a team to support our community and to support our visitors and just put a wonderful event on. So again, the people, I told you in the beginning that I wanted to stress how important the people are. And so here's this rare occasion where we were able to get Amy in a picture, and some of the other board members, Ginger, who's now no longer with us, but we have love and affection and memories of her, and she was very important to this Friends group, and her legacy will live on through all of the wonderful things that she participated in and was a part of. Up the upper left is Tom Cashmere. He was a bander. He started the Green Creek Wildlife Society. He also passed away, and just a wonderful, wonderful man, wonderful conservation mentor. And there's just so many people that I know I'm missing here. Eddie Pausch, who was a previous deputy manager, and Marge Miller in the upper right, who is the admin. Of course, she retired, and it's now hopefully in a very relaxing environment someplace. And then the lower left is the previous regional director, Tom Melius, and he's on the boardwalk, came to visit us here back in May of 2013, I think, just to have this experience. So again, so many people and so many relationships and so many opportunities to really share this wonderful conservation journey that I've been on here at Ottawa. You see that slide okay?
yes. Yep.
Okay, so I've had the pleasure of having two secretaries of the Interior visit Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge. And I don't know how many managers have had that. I think one would be a big stressful event for any manager, but we've been fortunate enough to have two. So in 2019, we had Secretary Bernhardt that visited Ottawa to do a presentation. It was my first press conference that I was a part of. It was a wonderful experience. And the secretary here on the left presenting and the rolling out of 1.4 million acres of new hunting and fishing for our visitors to the National Wildlife Refuge system. So that was a wonderful day, wonderful thing to be a part of. And again, it was very symbolic, and it's a very memorable moment for me. Lower right was Secretary Holland, and from the current administration, another wonderful experience. Right beside her is Representative Marcy Kaptur, who for the last 20 plus years, and she has been just a tremendous supporter of Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge and has done so much for this refuge. And so we were able to get both her and the secretary here, and we did some presentations and talked a lot about the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative and how reconnecting coastal wetlands are helping to improve the health of Lake Erie and the Great Lakes as a whole. So again, these two opportunities, two experiences were very memorable and the highlights of my career. Throughout this presentation, I want to make sure that we collectively understand that these standards of excellence are important to me as a manager, and these are priorities for our agency. But this is how I think about what we do, and every day I am aware of and I try to ensure that we are constantly upholding these standards, and not only the standards, but also our core values as an agency. So, knowing and relating to our community, connecting urban people with nature via stepping stones of engagement, building partnerships. Partnerships are so critical to our conservation mission. Being a community asset. To me, being a community asset means being relevant to your community. And I've always, ever since I've been here, I've always strive. Everything that we do is all about trying to be relevant to the communities that we serve, ensuring adequate long-term resources. That's a struggle right now. Budgets are in decline, but we have our friends, we have our partners that we can lean on. That's also very important to us. Again, building partnerships can help us through some of these other standards of excellence when we are struggling. Providing equitable access. Equitable access doesn't just mean making sure you have accessible trails and people with mobility or other disabilities can enjoy the refuge, but it's also about making sure that underrepresented communities also have an opportunity to enjoy this resource, because we serve all of American, all people, and we strive to find ways to engage and to be a community asset and to engage with these communities. So provide equitable access, ensure visitors feel safe and welcome. That's also critically important. Some people won't visit parks and other places because they don't feel safe and they don't feel welcome. And so if we can find ways to be innovative, creative, collaborative to make Ottawa safe, inviting, and welcoming to people, then that should reflect in our visitation and also in the inclusiveness of what we are trying to do here as a refuge. And modeling sustainability, making sure that we have renewable energy. We're using other types of renewable energy as far as EVs. We're also planning pollinator habitat. We're trying to convey to people how they can do backyard habitats to provide wildlife habitats in their own yards, right? We want to be an example of sustainability, and that's also an important part of what we do and the messaging that we bring. So as far as our core values, being good stewards of the land, having integrity. If we don't have integrity, then the American people are not going to trust us. They won't respect what we're trying to do. And again, that translates right to respect. So being respectful of them and collaborate with our partners and the community and our community leaders. And then being innovative, thinking outside the box to make change where we need to. All of those core values are really critical to being a good manager and a team leader. So hopefully you see this slide here. We have Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge as it is today. All the blue, you got Cedar Point, Ottawa, Navarre, Darby Marsh. All of this blue that you see represents nearly 11,300 acres. And we have 9 miles of Lake Erie coast and lots of responsibility. So let's look at our visitation. And I wanted to start with visitation because it is about the visitors, right? We do manage for the American people. We manage fish, wildlife, and plants and their habitats for the continuing benefit of the American people. That is our mission. And so we manage these resources, and we're trying to engage people to bring them to this refuge so that they understand what we do and they appreciate, and then we are relevant to them. We are being a community asset. We are engaging our communities, and those are two critically important aspects of what we do. So as you can see here, our visitation in 2012 was about 180,000 visits. And over time, we implemented new things, trying to work with our friends group to open new areas, expand our wildlife drive, creating opportunities to engage the community, to be a community asset, to support our friends group and the user groups that want to have access and enjoy this resource. And so in 2023, we had nearly 400,000 visits, just about 375,000 visits are what we had in 2023. Here's our visitor center and our wildlife drive visits. So the blue line represents our visitor center. So you can see the nice trend going all the way through 2018 and even a little bit into 19. And then we have our COVID years. So our COVID years, 20, 21, and 22, where we had to close our visitor center. So again, the blue represents the visitor center where we had to close and we had very few visits. We closed in 2020, we closed in March. We did open a little bit in 21, but then had to abruptly close. And then in 2022, we did, when we finally opened, I think it was in July, we were able to get some recovery of our visitation. In 23, you can see the trend is starting to go back up. And I'm hoping 24 will be a record year for us in our visitor center. As you can see from our wildlife drive, that's a very strong linear progression. We have slowly but surely increased almost every year with our wildlife drive. Our wildlife drive is truly our niche. It is the one asset that we have that is unique to Ottawa, and we will strive to provide opportunities to share quality experiences through that wildlife drive with all of our visitors. And hopefully we can continue to bring people to the refuge that will want to have this experience, and maybe they'll come exclusively because of this opportunity. So we had nearly 60,000 visits in 2023 on the wildlife drive. And as I said, it is all about being a community asset, supporting local businesses, being a part of that effort to support local businesses and bringing people into our community and bringing those financial opportunities. And so in 2018, we participated in the National Wildlife Refuge Visitor Survey, which was a system-wide effort to monitor visitor characteristics, experiences, and satisfaction with their refuge experience, and also looking at visitor economic contributions to local communities. And as you can see for here, the green represents local visitors, the orange represents non-local visitors, and the gray is the combination of the two. So as far as lodging, and it's understandable, lodging, this is dollars per person per day, right? So local visitors spent about $4 on lodging compared to $28 for non-local visitors. And as you go down the line, you can see that overall, for all of our visitors collectively, they spent on average $68 per person per day. And if you multiply that by the number of visits that we have, it can give you a relative estimation of how the refuge visitation can potentially impact our local economies and our local businesses. Also around 2017, this Banking on Nature came out, and it was published in June of 2019. And I won't go into all these details, but I think the primary message I want is right there in orange, is that for every dollar appropriated by Congress for the National Wildlife Refuge System, and that includes us, it returns $4.87 to the local economies. So for every dollar that we get from Congress is amplified. It's in our local communities, and that shows that we are very much a community asset, and that we're here to support our local businesses and be a part of that that collective effort to support our schools and businesses and everything within our community, including roads, because we do a lot of work where we're getting federal highway dollars to help improve roads throughout and around the refuge. So in 2012, on the left, the map on from 2012, that represents, you can see the blue. That's how many acres, that represents the acres we were managing in 2012. And on the right, you can see the blue, and that represents how many acres we're managing in 2023. And so what I want to emphasize, and hopefully that that bubble came up, that during that time period, that 11-year time period, Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge has acquired 1,567 acres. So we have grown by over 1,500 acres. And some of those acres we are still in the process of closing on, but our partners own them. And so we're just working to get those donations. So we're doing a wonderful job of growing the refuge, and we will continue to do what we can to add strategically important parcels to the Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge complex. So I put this map up because everything you see on this map was not part of Ottawa in 2012. These are all relatively new acquisitions. We have the parcel at Port Clinton, which is actually a cooperative managed area in partnership with the city of Port Clinton. Mayor Snyder and the city administrator, Tracy Colson, have just been wonderful to work with. We've worked with them to address invasive species. We will help them manage this coastal wetland, and it's right there in the heart of Port Clinton. And we want to be, again, a community asset to the city and helping them manage that wetland and being a technical resource to address whatever issues that come up with their wetland. The Bradley unit, which is actually now the West Harbor Landing, it's a wonderful, another wonderful site. And I have some slides here. Nels is a partnership with Black Swamp Conservancy, another great institution or organization here in Northwest Ohio that's conserving land across Northwest Ohio. And the Cole property, which is one of our more recent acquisitions, and that property is about 83, 84 acres right in Danbury Township. And so we're very excited about the restoration efforts, future restoration efforts for the Cole property. And that's, again, the Cole property is the bottom to the right. The picture on the upper left is a photograph of the Lakeshore Preserve, which is the property that's owned by the city of Port Clinton. We actually helped them remove carp from that wetland. We had our fisheries program came in, and we were able to remove the carp, do some electrofishing. We took well over 600 pounds of carp out of that system. The whole purpose of it was because we wanted to plant a lot of native plants, and we were concerned about the carp having an impact on some of the native submerged aquatic plants, emergent plants that we were going to be planting in and around the fringes of that wetland. The lower right picture, that's a view of West Harbor. For those of you who are from our community here, looking out over the harbor from the Cole property. So again, we're very excited about the opportunities that we'll have there at the Cole. This map, I just wanted to pull this up here because we did partner with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in the city of Port Clinton to do the restoration efforts on the Lakeshore Preserve. That project was about a $1.4 million project to restore that coastal wetland. Working with the Army Corps involved a lot of excavation and trying to restore some contours within that marsh and doing a lot of invasive species work. So, and at this point, the project is completed, and the city is now working. We are now working together with the city to manage that approximately. Well, overall, there's 14.2 acres. The marsh itself is obviously a lot smaller than that, somewhere in that 5 to 10 acres. I talked about West Harbor Landing. That's on the left side of your screen with the deck that you see there, and then the benches. Again, that property was acquired back in 2014, maybe even 15. And the whole purpose of acquiring that was really to create a public recreation. As those of you in our community know, that we have that Northeast Catawba Road there, 53 Causeway. A lot of anglers would walk out on that causeway just to fish. They had no place to park. It was a very hazardous place for our anglers. So we, seeing that and also getting the opportunity to acquire this property, we were able to acquire it. It's about 16.8 acres, of which nearly 16 of them are all flooded, just out in the West Harbor, kind of that open water. But we were able to come in the area that you see on below with the benches, there was asphalt and trash. There were just piles of trash. It was really a dumping ground for a lot of waste and stuff. So we came in and cleaned up this site, stabilized the bank with some stone, and just created a nice little setting there where people can get access to the water. It isn't always easy to get access to the water unless you live on it, but that's why these public recreation areas are so important to the communities that we serve, that ensure that everybody has access to the water, to Lake Erie. But you can see there's a boat launch, and we got the bench and stuff. So wonderful little resource. On the right side, that's the Nels Memorial Nature Preserve. Well, I guess let me back up. I want to also recognize the Catawba Island Garden Club. They have done a tremendous job of helping us keep this place nice and attractive. And it's really critically important that we, as with the standard of excellence, that we have places that are safe and welcoming. Not everybody wants to walk in areas that are, that have ticks or mosquitoes and those kind of things. That's not the way that they were raised. So they need an environment that's a little more aesthetic, right? And there's nothing wrong with providing, some of that so that they can feel welcome and safe when they're recreating on the refuge. So again, it's just trying to have a mindset that we can provide quality wildlife habitat, and have things like eastern prairie fringed orchid, endangered species, and osprey and nesting bald eagles, and thousands of shorebirds, and wonderful habitat for our migratory birds when they're coming through in the spring. But we can also provide wonderful places where people can connect to the resource and allow us to be a community asset to them as well. So on the right side, we're looking at the pavilion at the Nels Memorial Nature Preserve. Again, this was a resource that was purchased by the Friends of Ottawa National Wildlife Refuge. What a wonderful asset for this community. We also did a lot of habitat restoration, all the flowers that you see there, the bergamots and the black-eyed Susans. All of that was a planting that we had done. And then here's me. This is me sitting at the West Harbor Landing, just enjoying the resource. And this is something that motivates me as a manager, ensuring that we are relevant to the communities that we serve, and that we are providing quality wildlife-dependent recreational opportunities, and connecting people to the resource so that they understand why we exist and why it's important to have us in their community. This is one of our focal areas, the Portage River focal area for our land acquisition. All of the land, let me get my pointer here and see if I can do a laser pointer. Hopefully you can see it. All of this land in 2012, we did not own. This represents over 700 acres. All of it has been acquired since 2013. And so this parcel was the first one. And the last one that we acquired was the Smith, which was 200 acres. And we closed on that in December of 22. So in December of 22 is when we closed on the Smith property. So that 200 acres there. So this one was 2013, maybe 14. And this one was in 2022. So So again, 700 acres down, and this is our Two Rivers unit. The York property is open for public recreation. All of the rest of it is still closed as we work through habitat restoration and trying to find creative ways to and innovative ways to make sure that it is accessible to the public. Down here near the Little Portage is where we have our Turkey Run unit. When I got here, we had the Price property, which was just over 102, 103 acres, I think, somewhere around there. And then the first property I was ever involved in was the Adams. Jeff Adams sold 72 acres to the refuge, and this is this parcel here. And then subsequently after that, we were able to acquire the Dellinger, and the Friends bought the Wagner property, and we bought that property from them. So we're now a lot bigger than so this is 72, this is 96 and 11. So what is that? Nearly 300 plus acres alone here for our Turkey Run unit. And I just wanted to illustrate some photos of these properties. And upper left is the Smith family property looking out over the Portage River. It was this past winter. And then the lower right is also the Smith family property, but that's a nice little view of all of the wetlands there along the Portage River that we'll be managing now that we've acquired that property. This is the other Smith property. This is Kelly Smith that we acquired from him. Again, upper right, that's all emergent wetland habitat that is right out in the Portage River. You can see the cattails. So just really a wonderful emergent wetland that it's not diked. So it is influenced by the river, the pulsing effect of the river. The lower left, that's a little more of a controlled environment, but it does get flooded from the river, especially obviously when the river overbanks. But again, more really high quality emergent wetlands on the Smith. And this property is 133 acres. That represents these two photos. So very diverse habitats on it. We did do some restoration. We're in the process of doing some additional native seedings. And so a lot of great things still going on here at this 133 acre property. The Weber unit, this is over by Blousy, the Blousy unit just off of Lutz Road. If those of you that live in our community, Lutz Road, as you know, kind of goes down, what is that, 2 St. South? They intersect, and the Weber unit is down there. So this is Lutz Road here. And of course, we've restored 26 acre emergent wetland, planted five plus acres of trees. This is what you're seeing here in the image. And it's just really a wonderful habitat now for our, and it's just doing very well. I wish I had some more recent pictures. The Schneider property, excuse me, the Schiller property, it's called the Upper 2 St. now, and it was 73 acres. And again, I'm just kind of going through some of the properties so that you all understand what we've done within our community, what some of the examples of that 1,500 acres that we've acquired, and trying to give you some illustrations of where these things are at on the landscape. This is the 2 St. Creek that runs through here. So the 2 St. runs right through here. It's really before it becomes the river. This is Lickard Harder Road. And then you have this road over here, you got the limestone. If you're in this community, you'll know where the limestone is at. But just a wonderful flooded bottom here in this image on your lower right. You can see the trees we planted. This is well over a year after the restoration, and all of the native wildflowers and grasses all coming into that property. And it's just been a very successful restoration. And it was in partnership with Ducks Unlimited. So Ducks Unlimited was a critical partner in that restoration effort and the acquisition. So they were the ones that actually acquired the 246 acres that represented these parcels, and then turned around and donated them to us. This is the public access point for the Upper 2 St. or the Schiller property that we just talked about. So this is what it looks up on looks like up on the top. Again, you can see some trees that we planted, as well as a lot of the native grasses. And this is open to the public, so you're welcome to go there, park, and enjoy that resource. Bird watch, hunt, fish, whatever. And this is the Hageman unit. This was one of the last properties that Ducks Unlimited acquired and donated to us. It's around 39.8, 39.7 acres, I think. It's got the Russia Creek flowing right through the middle of it. This image on the lower right illustrates what the Russia looks like. It's a nice, really wide creek. Has some influence from Lake Erie. It's just really just a beautiful stream through there. And we're very blessed to have been able to get this from John. John did a great job doing some restoration work. He had restored some wetlands. We were able to, when we got it, we went ahead and planted the areas that he had farmed. We planted those in trees. So there's about 5 to 7 acres of trees that have been planted in these farmed areas in that map in the upper right. So this is also open to the public, and but not for hunting at this time. So it's just for public recreation, just for people to go and walk and enjoy. The Fox Ginsman, this is really one of our probably one of the best partnerships that we've had with the Friends Group so far, and they acquired the Fox unit. DU purchased the Ginsman unit. This is the 37-acre Ginsman. This is the 40-acre Fox. Collectively, they are 77 acres, and so DU donated the 37-acre Ginsman unit to us, and in the process of doing that, the Friends Group was able to acquire the Fox property, and now we have this wonderful nature preserve that we call collectively the Fox Nature Preserve. It's just a wonderful resource, and we've been able to, in partnering with the Friends, put in 175-foot boardwalk with an accessible trail. I think that's, yeah, what a wonderful accessible trail. That's about 1,400 linear feet accessible trail. So now we have provided opportunities, been a community asset, and working with to provide access for those that have mobility impairments. So, and we've planted native grasses, planted trees, and done a lot of wonderful things out there to restore the habitat. And the 8-acre woodlot is one of the remnant Great Black Swamp woodlots that we have. And Amy loves going there. There's Jack in the Pulpit, just wonderful wildflowers, and she tells me about it all the time. And I'm really excited. So we do have a little woodland trail, so you can kind of walk through it, and so hopefully some of you can get out there and enjoy that. This is a nice little panoramic view of the woodlot that I was just talking about in the Fox unit. You can see the wetland. We don't have, this picture doesn't have the boardwalk there, but the boardwalk goes across that southern portion, right across through that wet sedge meadow. It's on that far south side of the wetland, and the parking area is over off of Lickert Harder Road. So, and again, you can see the visitor center here and how close that property is to the refuge. The Camp Zabrowski, this one is still in its infancy, 65.7 acres. And we're very excited about this opportunity where we've entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Friends of Camp Zabrowski. Well, what a wonderful nonprofit in our community as well. They have a camp right across the street from this property. It's an RV. They also have cabins, and they bring they work with scouts and others that get to use these facilities. And we want to partner with them to hopefully bring some kids, inner city kids, out to this site in the future once it gets restored. So we're working with NOAA and Ducks Unlimited to restore this property. The property is still owned by Ducks Unlimited, and we are working on getting it donated. They are in the process of donating it to us. So we'll probably own it maybe by the end of next month, if not sooner. And this is just the concept plan for the restoration, meaning what we're planning to do is heavily, the dikes are in really bad shape, so we're going to redo all the dikes, remove a bunch of dikes. And this concept plan is a little old, so because this portion of it is going to be taken out. And so we're going to try to remove some of the interior dikes, but also create an opportunity where we can have a network of trail, at least a one loop trail in there for people from the camp, as well as anyone in our community can come and enjoy that resource and walk. And so I'm going to put in a fish passage structure and a pump structure so we can manage water and also have the marsh connected to the Two Saint. So I better get moving here. I know I'm getting a little slow here. It's about 7:40, so I'm being a little winded. So partnering to restore the Great Lakes. Obviously, that one of the priorities or purposes of this refuge is to help restore the health of Lake Erie in the Great Lakes as a whole. Water quality is one of our purposes. Improving water quality, improving aquatic benthic communities, improving fish habitat. All of that is important to us. We know how important Lake Erie is as a recreational fishery, both to Ohio, because of its, obviously there's just a tremendous amount of sport fishing that happens in Lake Erie, and it's a big revenue draw for the state. So, and Lake Erie isn't doing very well, obviously, as we know from the 2014 water crisis and the algal blooms. And so we're trying to help, working with this lady here on my right is the director of the DNR, Mary Mertz, and then the other gentleman there is Charlie Woolley. He now retired, but he was the regional director for the Midwest region of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So they both were dedicating a wetland restoration project that was a partnership with the division through the H2 Ohio program. And the structure on the right is a typical reconnection where we've punched through the dike, and now we allow the water to pulse in and out and help to clean the water and help to reduce nutrients and retain more nutrients in the marsh. So the picture on your left, I think that's very self-explanatory. You can see all of this wonderful clean water pumping out of this wetland out into the estuary of Crane Creek, and that's improving water quality in the estuary. It is not going to solve the entire problem, but it is one piece of the puzzle. Upper right, that's along Cedar Point. That's the beach along Cedar Point, probably about 5-6 years ago. All of that green sludge, those harmful algal blooms. And so that is what we're trying to help prevent by reducing the amount of nutrients and hopefully using our wetlands to retain some of this phosphorus and keeping it out of the system so that these blooms don't have it to feed on. We've restored nearly 300 acres of forest across the refuge and trying to restore those remnants of the Great Black Swamp. The 2B structure, that was the first fish passage that project when I came here in 2011. You can see me up here on the left. I was a much younger person at that time, lot less wrinkles, more youthful, but time has caught up with me, as it does with all of us, right? And even Tara's dad there, he looks pretty youthful, doesn't he, Tara? Now he's got a big old gray beard, so but much wiser now, as we all are. That's the thing about when you get gray, it definitely means that you have a little more wisdom. But so the 2B structure was put in 2000. It actually came online in March, April 2011, right after I got here, and it has been the model example of why coastal wetlands should be reconnected and how they can benefit. The guy in the blue jacket there is a wetland ecologist from the USGS, and he studied this reconnection for 2 years before and after the reconnection, looking at the bidirectional movement of fish, looking at how the wetland retained and reduced phosphorus in the system, And because of all of that research, we have been able to take that and apply it to our management. And this is why we've decided to reconnect more of our wetlands, was because of all of that science that supports having these systems and restoring these ecosystem services that wetlands provide to Lake Erie, and one of those are water quality, helping to improve water quality. As we all know, wetlands are the kidneys of Mother Nature, and when you isolate them, they're not able to provide those vital wetland functions, and thus you see the decline of Lake Erie. So now that we're doing that, again, it's one part of that equation, and we have the ability to keep carp out. So you can see the gates here; those are carp exclusion, so we can lower those grades and keep carp from getting into the system. Carp spawn in that 65 to 70 degree temperature range, and so when the water hits that temperature, then the carp will start trying to get into these wetlands. And if they do, they make the water very turbid, right? They just stir up the bottom, make it very muddy, and they reduce the water quality in the marsh. They make it hard for submerged and emergent plants to thrive in that system. And so if we can keep the carp out, then we can help reduce their impacts on water quality. And again, this is me in a more youthful time with Kurt Kowalski, the wetland ecologist, and Charlie Woolley, the regional director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. He was a fisheries, he was a project leader at a fisheries station for many years before becoming a regional director. And fish and talking about fish, he was very passionate about. And his dad also was a professor at the Ohio State. So he was born in Ohio and was a very, he loved Ottawa and loved coming here and loved what we were doing, and was a big supporter of our work. This is the Cedar Point National Wildlife Refuge, Cedar Point Pool 2. This is probably, I really feel like the most exciting coastal wetland reconnection project that I've ever done here at Ottawa. The picture on the right is a paved, of course, it's just a paved road to the, and the ditch that you see, it's an agricultural ditch. It's actually, I think it's a remnant of Wolf Creek, where it's been isolated, channelized, and just out of view here to the left is a field crossover where tractors would go over into this field to farm, and which acted as a plug. But on behind me is Lake Erie. So it's a channel of Lake Erie, comes through by Anchor Point Marina and into that channel. And so, but Lake Erie couldn't get up to here because of that crossover. So John Grottle donated a 1.5 acre easement, gave it to us so that we can move his crossover all the way down to where those trees are cut, move his crossover so he could get into his field, and then we can put in a structures where we can reconnect this 155 acre coastal wetland back to Lake Erie, so that where fish can spawn in that marsh again. And as you can see here, this is all the agriculture. This is the marsh. Right here is the crossover. We just move it a little bit to the west. Now we can bring all of this water and fish access and water quality benefits all the way up into this system. And we put a pump here where the agricultural pump, they allowed us to, where their pump can discharge right into the wetland as well, so we can get those benefits. So it's just a win-win for both us, and the fact that he donated and gave us that easement and allowed us to do that was pretty spectacular. Otherwise, we would never been able to do it. So this is a picture of the completed project. You can see the fish passage, the pump structures where we can manage this wetland. We hadn't started pumping it up yet, but we were getting ready to. We actually had run some fire through there to burn the frag. We had sprayed the frag, now we burn it, and then we put water on it. The combination of using spray and then burning off of that, all of that dead plant material, letting those nutrients, that carbon back into the soil, and then flooding it, all of which those three really help to control, if you will, Phragmites. So those are some of our management actions. I know someone was asking about that, of how we manage for Phragmites. Phragmites is very difficult to manage. Here's a little close-up view of the pump structures. This is our pump. This is allows us to manage at whatever lake levels happen. So where we could pump into or out of the marsh, if the lakes are high, if the lake is at an average level where it's, then we can just have an open connection through our fish passage and just let fish come and go. But it gives us the ability to be adaptable to whatever lake levels we happen to have. And there's also a farm pump just past those electrical boxes there. And that, again, that pump also is discharging into the wetland, or we can allow them, or they can put it out to Lake Erie if we don't need the water. We've already been in there. We talked about doing some frag work. We were in there this winter with a Marshmaster, which is amphibious machinery, just kind of mowing, mashing down the frag, pushing it down under the water, the stuff that's been sprayed, so that, you know, it will break down in the water better. So that's some of the work that we did all winter long in the unit. And here we are. This was a picture actually late summer last year, and we hadn't flooded up yet. We were still doing some test work on the structures, making sure they work fine. But there's deer that were using it, and as you can tell, there's very nice habitat as far as native plants and stuff throughout the marsh. So we're very excited to start putting water. And I know that the biologist Ron Huffman, as well as Courtney Lopez, have been working to get this marsh flooded up and to see how it's going to respond now that it has water. We have not had water management for over 40 years on this 155-acre marsh. And so we dedicated the marsh to John Grottle, and just so we called it the John Grottle Marsh because of they donated, the family donated that easement, that 1.5-acre perpetual easement. We have full rights to that. That gave us the ability to build, put those structures in. And so unfortunately, John passed away probably a month or 2 months before we were able to get the dedication. But anyway, his legacy will live on through this marsh, and we're very grateful to him and the family for their support so that we can reconnect this coastal wetland and restore all of these wetland functions and services back to Lake Erie. And I know I'm getting short on time here, so I'm just going to, Navarre Marsh, one of the things that I'm really excited about as well is the fact that we were able to get our 3 leases signed with First Energy. We have 3 leases that allows the Fish and Wildlife Service to manage Navarre Marsh, which is the area around the nuclear power plant, 779 acres. It's just a wonderful coastal wetland system. So we were able to get those. Our leases expired in 2018. We had 50-year lease with them that dated back to 1968. But when they expired, we needed to get them renewed. So we were able to get them renewed in 2019. And then we subsequently went in and started reconnecting those coastal wetlands as well. Here's some aerial images showing that work where this is the Two Saint River right here. And this is a coastal reconnection where we're working on connecting this larger, approximately 500-acre marsh to the Two Saint so that we can have all of that fish habitat and be able to manage it. So this is the same structure here on the left. In the middle and on the left is the same structure. On the right is another connection from another marsh. You can see the Two Saint River out there in the distance. This is another marsh that we were trying to connect all the way through, creating fish habitat so that the fish could spawn and come all the way through this larger complex of coastal wetlands. And of course, we're providing habitat for species that we had not seen previously before, osprey. This is the blousy. The first osprey that nested on the refuge we found in 2013. We hadn't had one in 100 years on the refuge. So it's pretty spectacular. And this was because we had reconnected this wetland, restored this coastal system, and put up this platform. This pole was part of where a house used to set right in the middle of a wetland. So we tore the house down, left the pole there, put a platform on top of it, and now there's wetlands all around it, and the birds came to it. So as many of you know, if you've come to our building and you've seen all of the film on our windows, this is all about trying to prevent bird strikes. The 3 billion bird challenge, we know that we've lost 3 billion birds in the last 50 years. There's a lot of threats to our birds across the landscape, and we didn't want to be contributing to those collisions and those mortality events. So we worked with our friends and the Division of Migratory Birds, and we're able to get this film up on our windows. And to my knowledge, I've not seen, or no one has told me that we've had any bird strikes since. And previously there was quite a few bird strikes that we would have, particularly on these metal rooftops where they'd hit these larger picture windows. So I've not seen a single dead bird yet. And we've been going 3 years now, I think. And so we're very proud of this effort. And so hopefully, and who doesn't like warblers, right? And this is just really a great way to highlight the warbler capital of the world here in Northwest Ohio. Of course, we got our new water feature and the building in the background, again, providing safe and welcoming opportunities is important, helping people feel safe and welcome. And that's what our building is all about, trying to bring people to the building so that they can feel safe and walking our trails. Again, that's all about being a community asset and engaging our community. Doing lots of bus trips. We're going to be doing a lot of great things here with the biggest week coming up. Hopefully we all get to see some beautiful magnolia warblers. And I don't know if you're able to see all of my slides or not. Oh, okay, there we go. I'm not sure what happened there, but doing special events, youth events, other outreach efforts. So if you're interested in bus trips or opportunities or bird walks, the biggest week is a great opportunity for that. I know the guidebook came out. We're doing some. They're doing a lot of great things. So hopefully you could participate in some of those and really enjoy all of what McGee and Ottawa and Howard Marsh and all of our other public lands in Northwest Ohio have to offer as far as a birding resource. Our wildlife drive, I talked about that, and how popular it is during the spring. And our automatic gates would not have happened without our friends group. They've done a wonderful job of providing those resources to us so that we can do things to help continue to connect people to the refuge. We have the tram. We're doing tram tours throughout the spring. The wildlife drive will be open from, I think, May 3rd all the way through the 19th, the following week. I've got the dates here. Don't hold me to all those dates, but hopefully you just check our website, come into our visitor center, and you'll be able to find all of the dates when our wildlife drive is open. And hopefully you'll enjoy some of the trams and bus trips and stuff that we have to offer. Trails, we've done a tremendous job. When I got here, we had somewhere around 10 to 11 miles of trails. We're well over 19 miles of trails now. So again, providing quality, accessible trails and kayaking opportunities, accessible kayaks. We've put in 4 or 5 different kayak access, one of which was at the Nels Memorial Nature Preserve we put in was an accessible kayak launch that was paid for by our friends. So we're really, again, thinking about those standards of excellence, being a community asset, engaging our community, being safe, providing safe and welcoming opportunities. That's critically important to me as a manager, to be relevant in our community so that people understand why it's important to conserve and preserve these natural spaces. And hopefully they'll give us their support through our friends group, and so that we can continue to grow opportunities and manage these trust responsibilities. This is the Estuary Trail. If many of you know that, it's where I saw my first Kirtland's warbler back in 2013. And we're getting close to here on my last slide. I know it's close to 8, so thank you for hanging with me, and I hope I haven't bored you. But I wanted to show this picture. If you're a hunter, and this is where the deer are. They're right down in the marsh. So a lot of our hunters that don't hunt marshes, they're not quite sure where the deer are. Sometimes when they come, we just tell them they're out in the marsh. And so if you're a deer hunter and you come into the Ottawa, hopefully this picture will help you find your next harvest. But this is a pretty cool picture of a nice buck standing out in a marsh, waist deep. And that's it. So what a beautiful sunset. I think that's the sunset, or maybe that's the sunrise of over the visitor center. Yeah, I think that's the sunrise actually. And yeah, so I hope you get to come out and see the sunrise over the estuary and visit the refuge soon. So with that, I'll take questions. I'm going to stop sharing. That way nothing freezes up.
It's excellent session, Jason. Thank you so much, on behalf of everyone and especially our friends group, for you and your staff, who maintains and, with such a short on resources, the place you manage, the place we come to enjoy. I fell in love with it, in 2020, 2021. And you can see the presence we have here. Everybody was keen on listening, and you had an excellent presentation. And meeting you in person, your compassion, your passion for conservation, your warmth, it all shows up. So I truly appreciate that you did this session for us, even though we had to move it once. We have just a couple of questions come up. Let me just pull up the chat. There was you answered the first question. There was a question even before the session started about Phragmites, how we control them. So that was already answered. Candy had a couple of questions. I just want to get to those first. She had one question about the seed that we use, which I think the native seed mixes we use from, and Amy answered that question. It was from OPN seed. And Candy had another type of, the type of seed mixes we use, for the native plants.
Yeah, so we get a lot of our native plant seed from the Ohio Native Prairie or Nursery. OPN, is that? I always forget. Yeah, so which is just a little east of us here. We do also collect some of our own seed, so we'll do some of that and propagate it. So we work with the University of Toledo. We've actually worked with the Toledo Zoo. What a wonderful conservation partner. The work they're doing on Blanding's turtles is just phenomenal. So where they help us propagate some of our native. So we'll collect native seeds. So that's a project where we're always looking for volunteers that are interested in coming out and collecting native seed and then helping us get it to resources where we can grow those plants and then get those plants back in the ground. Or we'll use the seed itself and just seed with the seed rather than the propagules, I guess.
I think Candice had a follow-up question. Yeah, she had a follow-up question for that. I think she was looking for, are there any seed mixes that would address the deer, I think, situation that she has encountered in Sylvania near Haroon Park?
Oh, so you're looking for a seed mix that is a little more resilient to deer browse? Is that what she's asking?
Yeah, Candice, you can, if you're still on, you can unmute yourself if you.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, hello.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, our problem, I'm chair of the City of Sylvania's Tree Commission, and we've been working with the Nature Conservancy in restoring Haroon Park. And we've had some wonderful success. We've brought in a forestry mower and removed large stands of common buckthorn. We're restoring the stream bank. We've done a tremendous amount of work, but one of the biggest challenges in that park is we've got a tremendous amount of deer pressure. I've gone out in mornings and counted up to 24 deer in a 23-acre park. And when we plant sapling trees, they can destroy them within 2 to 3 hours. They'll nibble the leader shoots, or if it's during the rut, the bucks will rub them to the point that they girdle them. So we found that caging those trees works fantastic, but obviously we can't cage in large numbers of wildflowers. We're looking at taking about 8 acres and getting ready to switch that from cool season grasses over to a native wildflower mix. And I'm just really concerned about it because I know we're going to have a lot of problems with the deer. And
Right.
other than to try to appeal to people to do a cull, as they did in Ottawa Hills, which there was a great deal of resistance to that, I'm not quite sure what else we can do. I've been shocked at what they've eaten. They've eaten wild bergamot. They've eaten woodland sunflower. It just surprises me what I think. It's like they're just starved. They're just eating everything and anything that they can. Any serviceberry we plant, we've obviously got a cage. So, we're going through lots of deer repellent and caging. But
Yeah.
I would really like to, on the east side of the park, up against Haroon Road, we really would like to restore that to a meadow. And I just wondered if you guys have tried different seed mixes and found any that seem to be more resilient to deer browsing than others, and where you've gotten that mix from.
Right. Yeah. So fortunately for us, our deer densities aren't anywhere near what you're faced with. And I do agree with you. I think that, browse is the primary food resource for deer. Deers really do like to browse. And so if those opportunities are not there, they're just going to be they're going to look for suboptimal forage. And that's why they're attacking some of or I should say, browsing on some of your wildflowers that you probably wouldn't expect them to. But I think I don't have I'll be honest with you, I really don't have a solution for you, but I do have a private lands biologist. I do have some other individuals that I could talk to, and we could get back with you. I know you're in our support area, especially with our private lands biologist, and maybe he has some ideas or some solutions that he can share with you if you'll.
Thank you. Yeah.
Be
Yeah, I would
patient.
love that.
We can absolutely. Candace, I'll just let me get your name here, and if
I
you
know
could
Candace, so I'll connect. I'll actually, I can help connect with Candace. So I know Candace very well, sir. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if you want to send me her email and her contact information, then I can share that with our private lands biologist, and we can see if there's any other options that we could suggest
Thank you. Yeah.
to address that.
I know we're almost 7 minutes over, but we have one couple of maybe question. Paul has one question about, is there something to restore at Potter's Pond, Cedar Point National Wildlife Refuge? What was it like before? Can we look in there at birds during fishing season? So a couple of questions.
Cedar
First,
Point?
is there anything to restore at the Potter's Pond at Cedar Point?
Potter's Pond. Potter's Pond is an open embayment bay to Lake Erie. So there's not a whole lot of restoration that we can do because of the influence of Lake Erie. And so John Grotto, I talked with John Grotto at length about that. And back in the 60s, there was actually a dike that went across, and all of Potter's Pond was diked in. And it was a fairly nice diked in wetland. But in the 70s, as those of you that have been around here a while know, that Lake Erie came up really high, and we lost a lot of our infrastructure. And even the Fish and Wildlife Service, we spent millions of dollars rebuilding dikes at Cedar Point, and we decided not to rebuild that Potter Pond dike just because it's a cost. So we came more inland and behind the back of it there and rebuilt the dike. So I don't know if that answers the question. It's just there's not a lot. We do see when the lake cycles lower that a sand bar will start to build across Potter's Pond, which is very interesting because that's that's the process, the natural process for a coastal wetland to start. As the sand builds up, you get this isolated wetland behind it, and that's how these coastal wetlands naturally established before humans intervened and built dikes around them. And but also, of course, Lake Erie's and the higher water levels washing out these old sand.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh, this is good. I know we are almost at time. The only other question we came up, we was privately messaged, is there a plan for Cedar Point and Navarre Avenue to be open for public? If not, why? Somebody had asked that question in private.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's fine. So Cedar Point, we do have guided opportunities in there. So we do take people in bus trips and things like that. So one of the Cedar Point was actually donated to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and in the deed, there's a revocation clause, and the clause says that we cannot develop it. We cannot develop access. We can't put in bathrooms. We can't put in trails. We can't do anything there. Otherwise, the property reverts back to the donor, the person, the entity. So that donated the property to us. So we're always very cautious about what we do up there when it comes to enhancing or developing any type of access. So we maintain the road, and so that's one of the big reasons why we don't allow just general public access into Cedar Point. So hopefully that's that. And now Navarre, we have a lease for Navarre, and so we only have the authority to manage the natural resources. They will not allow public access because of the security concerns related to the facility.
Yeah. I know this one more question has come up, if you're okay for maybe 5-10 seconds. The question was, will there be a visible shorebird management area along the wildlife drive, like one of the pools or units being managed for shorebirds?
So right now we're actively trying to manage several of our units, including ones that are on the wildlife drive. As many of you know, we've had a lot of rain. Just within the last month or so, Lake Erie has come up nearly 0.5 of a foot, so 6 inches. And that's just because of all the rain that's happened on the landscape. And where's it go? It's the watershed, right? So it goes right to the lake. And so we've had the lake that has come up. And that's 0.5 of a foot. And so what I'm saying is that because of all the rain, it just takes us time to catch up and pump units down. A lot of times we like to gravity feed that water out. That's why we have these structures so we can open them. But when the lake's higher, we can't do that. So we have to pump it out. So we do have plans to have shorebird viewing opportunities. We also hope that the estuary, which is a wonderful resource when the lake is at its, especially if over the last year or so, the estuary has been great for shorebirds. When you're going along Ottawa-Lucas County Line Road and just looking to the south there's just wonderful mud flats in there. And I think that will be available as well for shorebirds. And we're looking at MS5 doing a drawdown more in early May and throughout May. So there should be habitat there as well. So yes, there will be shorebird viewing opportunities. Hopefully we'll do a drawdown on the Boss unit. We always do a drawdown on the Boss unit, so we'll be getting water off of the Boss unit over off of Benton Carroll. So there'll be some opportunities for shorebird viewing over there as well.
Thank you so much. I know we are almost 30 minutes over. We sincerely appreciate, Jason, what you did, and I thank everyone who was able to join us today. Wonderful session. We'll send the recording to anybody who was unable to attend. But everybody have a great evening. I know the wildlife drive is open. Happy birding. And Jason, thanks again, sir, for your leadership.
Yeah, Earth Day is on Monday, right? Earth Day is Monday. We're doing a beach cleanup on Sunday. If anyone wants to join us, 1 to 3.
Yes.
So we'll be doing a beach cleanup. I'll be out there myself. Trying to help the health of Lake Erie, cleaning up the beaches. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, have a good evening.